I made a Cowboy Kermit costume. If you're new here, my name is Gabriela, or Gaby THEE on all social media, and I usually post art stuff on here. So usually I post maybe craft videos or art market vlogs, sketchbook tours. There's gonna be a new one soon. I post art challenge things, so there's also gonna be a new one soon, probably early November. Time-lapse videos. So if you're into that kind of content, I highly suggest that you subscribe. But this is definitely something different that I don't usually share because I'm very new at sewing, but I'm really happy with the end result, so I really wanted to share it.
Would you like to ride home on a real cowboy? I gotta scream my name as loud as you.
Would you like to ride home in a real cowboy, sweetheart? I got a 6-pack of full ones on ice and my rubies out all night so you can scream my name as loud as you need to, sugar. Hey, sexy lady.
Yeah. Well, this won't work. I don't have any cowboy boots. I'm back and I have boots now. They smell like leather, and no one tells you that you have to factor in how big your calves are, and your girl has big calves, so I had to get a few sizes up. But I have boots now, and we're ready to begin. I also got this children's sheriff badge. It's kind of like those keychains that are supposed to say your name, but they all said my name with either 2 L's or 2 B's, and I hate that. So I just bought the one that says Cowgirl on it, where my name should be. So technically it just says Texas Cowgirl Ranger. This is an investment. Here's the thing. I don't really have a schedule for when I'm gonna be finishing this project. All I know is that I want it to be done by mid-September. Why, you ask? Well, it's very easy. I wear a costume every single year for Halloween. And as of, I want to say 2017, I've been making it myself every single year. It has quickly gone from a cute little hobby to an obsession, and that needs to be studied. I have been planning Cowboy Kermit for a while now, kind of an embarrassingly long amount of time at this point. And I made a quick sketch, I want to say last year, and then TikTok happened and I saw a bunch of weird little videos and I was like, wow, this is perfectly aligned with the insane part of my brain. So then I drew stuff, which I then rendered before I left for Texas, and now I'm back with boots and I will be a problem. So in the time span from the start of the year to now, so far, the only thing that I've done is, one, make a very ugly shirt out of an older men's shirt because it was in green already. So that's number 1. I have bought fabric. I have to make a vest. I have to make a skirt. I have to add any and all embroidery that I might add besides the patches and stuff. I have to make a collar. I really, really, really want to make a banjo. But if I don't succeed in making the banjo, it'll still be a success. I think the only reason I want to make a banjo is because I drew it with a banjo. Because, you know, but I haven't found foam yet. And that's the only thing that's stopping me. I don't want to do it out of cardboard. I really suck at cutting cardboard. This is sort of a plan. Sort of a plan.
To recap, as of right now, I have a pair of cowboy boots, an old t-shirt that I already tried to sew and I'm a little embarrassed by, a sheriff's badge, 2 yards of this yellow-green shiny fabric, 2 yards of this darker green fabric, an extra yard of fabric that I already had in my closet just in case, some fringe, some extra green embroidery floss in case I need to add any details, a green zipper, some green thread, and 2 patterns that I made out of parchment paper for the collar. I also have an iron-on rainbow patch, and I've also made a few patches of my own that fit the theme, but I'm not sure if I'm going to use all of them yet.
Today, we're going to be working on the collar. I've made 2 separate patterns. I'm only holding one of them. But I made one that's a little skinnier and one that's a little thicker, because I think the thicker one will have more structure, but the thinner one looks more like Kermit's little neck piece collar thing, and obviously I want it to look more like Kermit if possible, and so I am gonna make both of them today just to see which one looks better with the shirt that I made. And then I have to make the pattern for the vest, my little cowboy fringe vest that I'm gonna be wearing, and that one needs to be a little perfect. Hopefully I can make the pattern for the skirt, but I got things to do today. And the thing with the vest is I don't really own that many vests. I want to have more vests. The problem is I live in a very hot climate, and so there's no real need for me to own vests. So the vest that I have is the one I had for school. It's my school uniform.
Shout out to pieces of media that depict school uniforms in a non-sexualized manner.
I want to use it as like a base for what kind of vest I want to make, but I want it to come up to here. So hopefully I can do that today. That is today's plan.
One of my goals in the future is to figure out how to make my own patterns, or how to at least follow a regular pattern without having to trace pre-existing clothing onto fabric and winging it. But I'm very much a beginner, and we do what we can. I basically traced my old uniform vest onto a piece of parchment paper and then used that parchment paper to trace it onto both of my fabrics so that I could figure out that they were all perfectly straight before I cut into them. It's not perfect, but it's something. This fabric was also really tricky to work with, at least the lighter yellow one, because I'm not really sure how a lot of fabrics work. I can't really tell them apart, honestly, outside of like knowing which one's silk and which one's cotton or something like that. So the yellow fabric was fraying a lot, and I'm glad that I just figured out how to work with it in order to sew it together so that if it's fraying on the inside, that is none of my business. I also did the same thing with the skirt, where I just traced a skirt that I already owned. I'd also like to point out that I did all of this on my bedroom floor, so I look like if one of the fairies from Sleeping Beauty had a baby with Smeagol.
This is what I got so far. It is inside out because I need to sew them and I need to iron it, whatever. It is currently poking me, but we have the base for a vest. We're good. I feel like a robot though. Currently, this is a mess, but it's mainly because I did not calculate everything correctly. And I still need a little bit more of this green, like 1 more yard, so that I can add another panel so that it can be the fullness that I want. Otherwise, it's going to look really weird and I can't sit. So, have to do that. On the bright side, those are perfect. I still have to cut out the collar, but I just wanted to cut out everything today so that I can sew it eventually. So, I'm not going to worry about the skirt until later, but I will be focusing on the vest and the collar.
After seeing how little of the darker green fabric I had left, I decided to make the Kermit collar out of the shiny fabric only, using the skinny pattern that I had cut out. I basically just folded the fabric in half so that I didn't have to sew the top of it together, because I knew that if that looked messy, the whole collar was going to look messy. And then I used the pattern to make sure that the triangles were pretty straight so that when I sewed them together, they wouldn't look weird.
I have managed to cut out the collar, which I think is going to work just fine once I sew it together. I have cut out the vest, most of the skirt. I'm going to leave any other bits and pieces for after I'm done making the base so that I don't waste fabric that I could have used. So I'm just going to put this away. And I've made an extra collar thing for the dog. I want him to be a spider for Halloween, but extra bonus costume, I guess. He can be Kermit too. A weekend has passed, and I have a shirt now. Is it a pretty shirt? No, it's not. It's not. Is this a great collar? Yes, it is. And that's what's keeping me enthusiastic. That and the fact that I finished Word. Say hi, Word.
My life is crumbling all around me.
Describes slavery. You think that this would be quite a...
We now have a Kermit collar. Now here's the thing. The Kermit collar is detachable. The original plan was to sew the collar onto the shirt, but I was like, that shirt is so goddamn ugly that I don't want to waste this that I've made, and so it is separate. Now, let's talk about the shirt first. Let's talk about the bad before we talk about the good. Now, the shirt is ugly. The shirt is ugly. Like, look at it. Come on. A child made this. This is terrible. And I feel bad. Basically, this was a men's shirt I thrifted, and it was pretty big on me and like long on me. So I took it in because I wanted it to look a little wider in the armpit, and that's fine. That's fine. It's the rest that's not fine. So basically, it had a patch right here, a huge patch from the company. I don't even remember what company it is. And so I seam ripped it, and it all came off perfectly easy around the sides, except for the middle. The middle was still there, and no matter how much seam ripping I did, it did not want to come off. So when it eventually did come off, it took some fabric with it, and then I was left with a hole. So I patched it. I patched the hole up, but as you can see, it's still very visible. I'm hoping that once I sew everything else, the skirt, the vest, everything, if I have enough of the fringe that I'm going to be putting on, I want to do it around the shirt and just try to make it look intentional. But we will see about that. If not, I'm just going to have to hide it with the vest because I absolutely hate it. Second, neckline looks really weird. I ripped off the original collar. I obviously wanted it to look like a Kermit collar originally, and so I chopped it off with the intention of sewing this on. But when I did the test, it wouldn't like lay the way that I wanted to. It always came out like this, and that is not a Kermit look now, is it? It looks ridiculous. And so I chopped it off, and I just sort of folded it together so that it wouldn't fray while I was working on it. And so now it just kind of looks like this. Hideous. Bad thing number 3, buttonholes. I tried to use a zipper foot for the first time, and it is hideous. You can't really see from far away, but they are not even. Almost none of them are the same size. I had to go back and manually stitch some of them together to make it work. One of them broke, actually. Where is it? Oh yeah, this one. This one broke on the side, but you can't tell because of the buttons, so thank God. Buttons are fine. Buttonholes, terrible. And then the next thing that's the problem is that I am a curvy girl. I'm a curvy girl, okay? And I knew going in, I was like, listen, the girls have trouble staying there when you buy a regular manufactured shirt from the Macy's. What is going to keep it together when you sew it? And I foolishly thought, well, you know, I know my measurements, you know, I know what I'm doing. And that's how you end up with the little holes in between the buttons. And I don't know how to solve that. I tried to put Velcro on it, but the Velcro that I have isn't really that sticky. I only use it for things like this. But if it has to actually hold, it doesn't, and it kept falling out. So right now, there's a safety pin in here. Basically, most of this will be covered anyway. But it is shameful to look at. I feel better about where this project is going because it is going to be August tomorrow, and in my brain I was already a little further along with this, but I have to get more fabric and I have to do a bunch of stuff, so I'm going to stop for now and we will see. But the vision is coming together.
Anyway, this is just really old footage of me finally sewing all of the pieces together for the vest while watching a video on Titanic survivors. Was finally able to pick up an extra yard of the darker green fabric so that I could make the extra panel for my skirt to make sure that it's extra swooshy. Now that everything was pinned together, I finally felt like I was going somewhere. After I sewed all of the panels together to make the skirt and the vest off camera, because let's be honest, no one needs more footage of me working on the sewing machine, I thought it was time to start working on some of the bigger details. My original sketch for the Kermit cowboy costume had gloves, and for some reason it didn't dawn on me until halfway through making said gloves that it was not going to work without stretchy fabric, and Walmart absolutely did not have stretchy fabric that matched either of the greens, so I ended up scrapping that and instead just focused on the cuffs that the gloves had in the drawing because they were really fringy and cute, so if I couldn't have gloves, I could at least have the cuffs. Once I sewed those little rectangles that will eventually become my little cowboy cuffs, I was able to focus on making some pockets for the skirt and try to figure out how I was going to salvage that old t-shirt. I have no idea if this is the right way to make pockets. It's probably not because I really struggled, but I did the same thing that I did for the cuffs. To make the pockets, I just made little squares with the shiny fabric and some of the extra fabric that I had left over because it was slightly sturdier than either of the options, and I knew that I wanted the pocket to be able to hold the weight of my cell phone. It's not the prettiest pocket, and I definitely struggled trying to sew it on to the actual skirt because I didn't think of how it was going to get on to the skirt, but it's a pocket and it's there, and I was able to convince myself that it was okay because I was going to add a little rainbow patch to one of them, so that would make it cuter. I also kind of wanted to add this swirly green ribbon to the skirt too, but I ended up not doing it because I thought it would look really messy with my sewing track record. Once that was done, I decided to finally focus on the shirt again because I knew that if this didn't work out, I needed to buy a new shirt or something because it would kind of make the rest of the outfit look really bad. So I decided to just seam rip off all of the buttons that I already sewed and try to hide my mistakes.
Okay, so here's where we are at this current moment in time. I have to hand sew a lot and I have to iron, so it's not looking really profesh right now. But I'm very happy at what point we're at. So one, collar is done. Vest, almost done. Cuffs, almost done. Skirt, almost done. You see the problem here? Here's what we gotta do, right? I don't have the shirt on right now because I've decided I'm scrapping it. I'm trying to salvage it. I have to hand sew it. I didn't want to put it on because it's got pins in it. Blah 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 blah. We're gonna be like a toddler basically, and I'm just gonna hand sew the buttons and pretend that it's a button-up shirt, but I'm not sharing that right now. And honestly, if it's still ugly after that, I'm just gonna buy a green button-up shirt. I don't even care if it doesn't match the color scheme anymore. I'm probably just gonna buy a new one if it's ugly. So we'll see about that. But anyway, I have to add fringe to my little vest. I have to hand sew the pockets on, and I have a little patch that I'm gonna put on the pocket, on at least one of them. I don't know if both. I do have two, but one of them is prettier, so I don't know, maybe one pocket. I have to sew on the little belt hoops. They're just with a pin on right now. I have to put fringe on my little cuffs. And I have to put fringe at the bottom of the skirt, and that's why I don't mind that the bias tape is a ridiculous green color that doesn't match anything else. This is where we're at. I have Velcro, which I need to attach better, but whatever. Zipper that is slanted, but we don't need to talk about that.
No puedo entrar en detalles sobre eso.
El joven tiene derecho a no declarar, tiene derecho a mantener silencio y ese derecho como cualquier otro puertorriqueño, cualquier otro norteamericano sobre este suelo lo va a ejercer en este momento.
And I have pins right now in the back because I need to fix some stuff, and I need to make sure that some of the stuff that's on the inside gets back down because it is looking trash in there.
It was during this little progress report that I realized that the hem of my skirt was lopsided during the swoosh test, but we persevere.
Easier way to put pockets on? Probably. Am I gonna do it? It's too late. No.
I was also able to adhere the Velcro better to the cuffs once I was able to iron them down.
Now I have little cuffs like a magician.
This morning, I'm just getting dead carcass.
Now, I'd like to say that I filmed the entire part of the process, but that's simply not true. There's only so much a person can do when the iCloud is breathing down your neck and sending you a bunch of emails about how you're running out of storage because you film everything on your iPhone and you don't have a camera. So this is where we are so far. I've made a fake button-up shirt is what I've done. I just ended up chopping where the buttonholes were, and I put in like this panel because the fabric was stretchy enough that I could still use it like a t-shirt. So I'm gonna put buttons on it as if it is a button-up shirt. It's not. It's not perfect, because what the heck is this? But I don't think anyone's gonna notice that. Hopefully. Also, I did this in the other one, but I added another hook here so that I could put in the collar, because it's just there. I made these because I wanted to cover up the little hole that was here, and I didn't know how to do that properly without it being really like obvious that I'm covering up a hole. So I ended up looking at a bunch of old pinups of Western stuff, you know, and I found that a lot of them have these like sort of panels. And so I took an old plaid men's shirt that I had in my fabric stash, and it was yellow, and I dyed it like a little bit to make sure that it could match the rest of the outfit. And so that's what this is. Is it perfect? No, but I'm gonna cover up most of it with the vest anyway. I can't try on the vest yet because it is currently on my desk with the embroidery hoop in it, because I'm going to sew on some patches in the back to make it work. I still have to iron the skirt, which is why it looks like a disaster, and I still have to put in the patch. Right now it's currently just there with a pin, but this is where we are. So far I'm pretty much almost done. I was like, something is missing here, and I remembered that I made these little cuffs. So at the moment, what I still have to do is obviously iron this, put on the patches, sew on the patches that go on the vest, all of the fringes on. Most of it is done. I still need to add the buttons here and on my little cuffs, do anything else that I think maybe could zhuzh it up a little bit more, and get a hat. I need to get a hat. The good thing about it is that it's not necessarily uniquely Kermit the Frog unless I wear this. And so I think if I ever need to reuse this, I can, as long as the character is also green.
Green!
Now, like I said earlier, I didn't actually film every single part of the process, so if you're wondering how I got this hat and how I got this banjo, I can explain. Now, I do in fact remember getting footage of when I worked on this hat, but for some reason, it is gone. It is absolutely gone. I don't know where it went. I don't know what happened to it. I don't remember deleting it, but here we are. So I bought this hat. It was originally black, like all over, but that just would not do. I had a vision, and I had brown boots, and I was not about to clash, okay? I ended up just buying this brown acrylic leather paint, and honestly, a little went a long way. I have a ton of this left over, so I could use it whenever I want. So I made this banjo, and I'm really proud of it, even though it's very obvious that it is a handmade banjo. Can you tell that it's cardboard? Because I can. I don't want to do it out of cardboard. I really suck at cutting cardboard. If you want to see the actual process for this, I actually uploaded 2 videos on TikTok of me making it, just to give myself an excuse to force myself to make it, because I kept telling myself that the banjo wasn't necessary for the costume. I could live without it. But memories of being Esmeralda for Halloween and not having a tambourine shook me to my core, and I knew that I needed to make a prop. So here we are, we're the banjo. Now, I explain how I made it on TikTok, so if you actually are interested in figuring out how to make it, you can just check it out there. Basically, it is cardboard, it is duct tape, spray paint, hot glue, and these strings are embroidery floss because they needed to be black to pop out against the white banjo. And my personal favorite thing is that I put something in the back. For me, is anyone gonna see it? No, probably not, but it's so cute. Is it not cute?
I want to be a cowboy, baby.
This is usually the part in other videos where they do the reveal and there's some nice calming music in the background, but YouTube kind of hates me and they're always copyright striking my videos even when there's not music playing. So just pretend that you can hear Rainbow Connection in the background, or better yet, hum it. Obviously do that better. And also just know that as much of a slay as this outfit is, doing this is really awkward. I don't know how other people do these reveals and look so poised and elegant. If you see my basketball shorts sticking out over the skirt, no, you didn't. I'm also going to share some pictures at the end of this clip so you guys can have a better look at what the full outfit looks like, since I don't really have a lot of room to show off the entire outfit. So hopefully you guys like that, and I will be posting the pictures on Halloween. I've been on a weird photography kick every time I sew something.
I don't know about you, but you can't tell me this isn't a look. You can't tell me I can't wear this little collar out places now, because I probably will. Goki shirt, Kermit collar. Like, I'm slaying in a very whimsical manner. I feel like I should take a page out of all of the cosplay and historical fashion girls that I follow and talk about what I could improve on next time. But honestly, I'm just happy I finished it. I'm genuinely just happy that I finished it. This has been like a hyper fixation that I've had all year, and I'm very new to sewing. So the fact that I even accomplished it looking even remotely presentable is, I'm very happy about it. I'm very happy about it. Even if in a few years I'm gonna look back and cringe at how bad some of the construction was, I'm just really happy that I made something myself from scratch. In all seriousness, there are some things that I could improve, obviously. We all know that making the shirt was a disaster, but I ended up fixing it in the end. Is it something that I could wear out without worry that it was gonna look costumey? No, it looks very costumey. I'm aware of that. I do definitely know from now on that I need to focus on learning how to sew buttons. I need to figure out, well, not necessarily buttons, it's the buttonhole. The little buttonhole, I suck at that so bad. I also really need to figure out how to sew in a straight line. Another goal of mine is to figure out how to sew pockets the right way. As a girl who loves myself a good pocket, because I don't have any purses, I literally only carry backpacks and tote bags, I need to figure out how to work pockets. Another thing that I would really like to improve on is making bottoms. Skirts right now are really easy for me to make, and even then I struggle with the math a lot because I have really weird measurements. My waistline is pretty small, everything else not so much, and so I usually feel like I overcompensate and I end up making this way too big, and then I have to make it smaller, and then I make it too small. I need to figure out how to do it cleanly too, because the insides are always kind of a mess, but as long as I have a functioning skirt, I call it a success at the end of the day. But I'm also not a skirt person, as hard as that may be to believe, because it's the only thing I've learned how to make. It just seems easier than learning how to make pants. Patterns confuse me greatly. I think the problem is also that I'm plus sized, like a size 16 or something, and I don't understand how patterns work if you're bigger than the pattern, because I've seen a lot of people just use patterns, but the patterns like look like they just lay on top of them just fine, and I'm bigger than the pattern, and I don't know how I'm supposed to use a pattern if I have to size it up. I don't know how that works. So if any of you guys could explain that to me. On the other side, there are things that I would like to commend myself for, because, you know, you got to do a little compliment sandwich, little critique sandwich. And I do think that this looks great. This little collar, like I made this collar. I didn't know what to look for when I made a collar, and I think it's really great. I added Velcro. I put a zip tie in it to keep it like structured. I did all this little embroidery on it, and I'm so proud of this one.
Yo me quiero ir de Puerto Rico porque es mucha presión. Todo el tiempo están tirándome la mala. ¿Por qué todos quieren ser mejor que otros?
But like, this is adorable. I'm very proud of it. Another thing that I would like to compliment myself on is the vest, at least the fringe on it, because I think a lot of what makes this look more Western are the details, not necessarily the original base, because I remember looking at it halfway through and being like, this doesn't really look Western. I don't know how to fix that. And then it's, you know, adding the fringe or adding the little plaid panel to the t-shirt, yeah, the little accessories that I was able to make, that's what made it look more Western. I'm very happy about that too. So yeah, that's it. That's the video. I hope you liked it genuinely, because I had a lot of fun making it, and I don't know if this is a video that a lot of people would click on, but with this one, it was like a lot of labor. So I would like to think that you guys had fun watching me make it, even though I'm not all that experienced with sewing or video editing, if we're gonna be serious. So if you liked it, please let me know, because I think this is gonna be one of my main hobbies for the rest of my life. Like I said at the beginning of the video, this isn't usually what I post on here. I post a lot of sketchbook tours and stuff like that, and I would like it if you guys like this video and wanted to see more of my stuff. That would be really nice. And also, if you really like my art and you're from Puerto Rico, I will be wearing this silly little costume to Feria de Comics on Halloween Day. I'm gonna be working there for 3 days, so Halloween, November 1st and 2nd, and it's gonna be great. I really loved Feria de Comics when I did it earlier this year. We're gonna have a good time, and you can buy stickers. I made new Halloween stickers. Please hit like or comment, that would really help. I don't monetize anything because I can't monetize anything. I have the amount of subscribers necessary, but I don't have the amount of views, and that's okay with me. But if I could monetize it, that would be really good for me. So, you know, that could help me out. Hope you liked it, and thank you for watching.